aspirant should first understand his or her weaknesses and then make a strategy. So it was hectic, but I used to study for like 4 or 5 hours, and almost regularly I used to give at least one sectional mock. Yeah. So my IIM Visakhapatnam interview was a whole of 45 minutes of interview. So now they asked me what is the noise that we could hear from the behind. So this was completely unexpected. Most unique interviews I've ever given in my life. But if you compare IIM Visakhapatnam with the colleges that have started in around the same time, I definitely can say it's one of the best colleges. It is one of the best in the third gen IIM, and one should actually take a bet to go in if you have similar kind of colleges. So talking about life at IIM, assignment, submission, project, lectures is just 1/4 of the life at IIM. I don't think there is one line in which I could explain life at IIM, but definitely worth living at least once in life. I mean, I think the Shruti who entered IIM Visakhapatnam in 2022 could have never thought of herself as the Shruti she is today.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Placement Buddies. Let me welcome you all to another episode of Let's Hear from the Experienced Season 2. And today, in order to share her interview experience with IIM Visakhapatnam, we have Shruti with us. Hello Shruti, welcome to Placement Buddies.
Hello Saleh. Hello everyone, thank you for having me, and I'm really excited and looking forward to this conversation.
Right. So Shruti, हमारे audience को अपने बारे में कुछ बताओ.
Okay, so as Saleh mentioned, I am Shruti Sonawane. I've been born and brought up in Aurangabad, which is recently renamed as Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. It's a district in Maharashtra. I'm currently pursuing my MBA from IIM Visakhapatnam, and I come from a humble background. I have always been the person who loves stage, who loves mics, who loves events, performances. So that side of me got me into public speaking and leadership, which again brought me to a lot of clubs like Toastmasters, Rotary and Rohtak. And that qualities told me that I want to go for MBA. So right after my engineering placement, I started preparing for my CAT in my final year itself. And I really had only 3 months left when I started, and that's how I got into IIM V. I did my bachelor's in computer science engineering, and through my MBA, I was a part of the placement committee in the first year, post which in the second year, I started my personal branding and content creation journey through LinkedIn, YouTube, and now Instagram a few months back. So I've built a community of around 27,000 on LinkedIn, 6K subscribers on YouTube, and 8,000 on Instagram. Nothing but just try to implement my classroom learnings of marketing and strategy into personal branding, YouTube marketing, and analytics. So yeah, that's about me, and I'm up for your questions.
Right. So Shruti, can you just provide some insight about how does a CAT preparation of 3 months look like? So what were your strategies?
Okay, so for me, it started with giving a mock test randomly. So one fine day, I just took a mock test, which was free, available on the internet, and I saw that where I stand today. Mm-hmm. That is what helped me understand that I'm good in QA, I'm good in VARC, but DILR is something I need to work upon.
Same
so
pinch,
for me,
same
preparation.
Yeah.
So for me, preparation had to be, very eye-opening on the first day, because I took a mock test even before starting the preparation.
Correct.
So what I found was an aspirant should first understand his or her weaknesses and then make a strategy. So one strategy could not fit all, like one size doesn't fit anyone.
Correct.
So I feel that everyone should start with a mock test and see where they stand today. And then they might go with their weaknesses and strengths and similarly find what suits them. So for me, 3 months was very less time. I had to cover the syllabus. I had to also see my weaknesses. I had to also work on my mock score. So it was hectic, but I used to study for like 4 or 5 hours, and almost regularly I used to give at least one sectional mock. So that is how my days of preparation looked like.
Right. So right after your CAT attempt, Shruti, you started preparing for the interviews, you got a call. So how did the interview look like?
Okay, so I attempted CAT, through which I got CAP calls. Mm-hmm. So all the IIMs that are included in the CAP, I got IIM Visakhapatnam call, I got NMIMS call, and I also got Goa Institute of Management's Achievers Round call.
Okay.
So these were the interviews that I attempted for. So I gave NMAT, CAT, and SNAP. I did not get a call for Symbiosis though. So yeah, these were the calls that I got, and the last interview was IIM Visakhapatnam interview. So by the time I sat for IIM Visakhapatnam interview, I was quite trained with the interview process, I could say. So my IIM Visakhapatnam interview was a whole of 45 minutes of interview. Okay. So it's very difficult to explain in a short time, but let me try. So as soon as I entered, there were two panelists, and the interview was online. There were two panelists. One was a male professor, one was a female professor. The male professor was a data science professor, if I'm not wrong, I could recall.
Okay.
And the female professor was a faculty in HR and OB and HR professor, she was, right. So my interview started with the typical tell me about yourself question. The classic question gave them a lot of hints about how I am as a person. And then they started asking me about my internships that I did in digital marketing and how did national level debate win feel when I was in the engineering. How did I go till the national level debates? What were the steps? And how did public speaking shape me as a personality?
Okay.
Such questions were asked by the HR faculty. Post that, they gave me a question which came from my engineering subject, which I couldn't answer. I still recall, and I did not try to globe around it. I honestly told them that the subject is nearly 2 years back and I haven't revised it much, and I told them authentically that I'm not able to recall. So such situations also happen in interviews, but I also believe that it's how you take the pressure and how you manage the situation at that. And then this is the most interesting part of all the interviews that I've had. This particular interview is the most interesting because there is a jingle that is played in Maharashtra. I'm not sure if it is played in other states also, but I'm very sure it is played in Maharashtra.
Okay.
A jingle in Marathi was played in the background, which meant a garbage vehicle comes and then they play this jingle which says that please bring the garbage out of your homes and be a responsible citizen.
Okay.
That was played in Marathi in the background and the interviewers could hear to that very clearly.
Okay.
So now they asked me what is the noise that we could hear from the behind. And I told them that there's this jingle played by the municipality vehicle that comes to collect the garbage. So then they started asking me that which language is it and what does it mean? What are your views on environment, sustainability? A lot of companies have come up with sustainability challenges this time. They mentioned about the L'Oreal sustainability challenge that happens every year. Then they asked me about what are the issues, environmental issues faced by your city? Do you see any measures taken to actually abolish it? Have you as an individual ever thought of working on the environment issues? What do you know about it? Current affairs, how it impacts the business context, economic context. And it all happened because of the one jingle that they could hear in the background. So this was completely unexpected. But by the grace of God, it was exactly one day before that me and my father discussed about the environmental issues, and I could actually tell them about the current affairs, the news, and the business context in the same. So yeah, this discussion almost took around 15 to 20 minutes of my interview.
Right.
So it covered everything, like GK, current affairs, it took my business knowledge, it took my socio-economic knowledge. They understood about how much I know about my city. And then when we started speaking about my city and the environment issues, they also told me, okay, tell us something more about your city, not just the issues. Tell us about the good part. Now, as I mentioned, I come from the historic city, the city of gates, Aurangabad, Maharashtra, which was recently renamed as Sambhajinagar.
Right.
So they asked me about why is it called as City of Gates?
Mm-hmm.
So then I told that it has 52 gates. Then they told me to name at least 10 of them. So the historical part also came in. Then they asked me about the UNESCO World Heritage Site that my city has. Then they covered about the geographic parts. Then they asked about the industrial aspects of the city.
Okay.
And what is the growth ratio of your city? Do you see yourself getting settled in the city after 10 years? Is it growing that rapidly? Or do you also see yourself working in metros? Such questions also came up.
Right.
And post that, they again came to a question which was related to MBA. So they asked me again the typical question, why MBA?
Mm-hmm.
If you have so much current affairs and if you know so much, if you have a vision to be a good citizen, why not UPSC?
Okay.
Why don't you go to services? Then that aspect came in. So then I told them that how I see myself as a good leader in the corporate. Why do I want to do MBA? Then the perspective that why do you know that you have to do MBA as a fresher came in. Don't you think that work experience will help you better?
Mm-hmm.
So all these questions covered up. At the end, they gave me an opportunity to ask the question, wherein I asked them about two particular questions I still remember. One was about the curriculum and life at IIM Visakhapatnam. And second question, I asked them that now that you've asked me, so they asked me that what all calls I have and what all interviews I've sat for. So I asked very politely that now that I've sat for several interviews, if I'm able to convert any of the better colleges than IIM Visakhapatnam in any of the aspects, why do you think I should still choose IIM Visakhapatnam over that college?
Right. That's a good question to ask.
So then they gave me important aspects that I should look about, the faculties that are there in the IIM Visakhapatnam, and they got really impressed with the question that I asked. And yes, that's how my interview looked like. Also to mention, I don't remember the exact festival, but I think it was Akshay Tritiya and 2-3 more festivals lying on the same day. So I wish the interviewers all the festivals that lied on the same day. And that's how my interview ended on a positive note. It was really interesting, and it was a long interview. Most unique interviews I've ever given in my life.
Right, like when it was when I heard that duration was 45 minutes, I predicted that okay, something interesting might have happened over there. Right. So just people just cannot prepare completely because you cannot predict what questions are coming your way. Right.
Exactly, and I would have never imagined that they could even listen to a jingle and my interview would just suddenly turn the tables and the direction would be completely different. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one more point. They also gave me a business case, which was a case study scenario, which was related to marketing because I mentioned that I'm interested in marketing and strategy. So they gave me a small business case and wanted to check my thought process on the same. So even that is something you can expect.
Right. So that happened during the interview only, right? Not previously or after the interview.
Yes. No. All these things happen in that 45 minutes of time.
Understood. Right. So how does the process look like? Like after the interview, you have to wait for like 1.5 months maybe or so.
Okay. So IIM Visakhapatnam basically does admissions into phases. So in the first phase, so everybody can go and check out on the official website also. So first you have to give a SOP, statement of purpose, after which you get an interview call.
Right.
And post the interview call, I think my interview was scheduled somewhere in April last week, if I'm not wrong. Okay. April last week, yes. And the results came out in May.
SOP is the thing which, you have to submit before the interview.
Yes. And they refer to the SOP also when they ask questions in the interview. So whatever you write in your SOP is actually a blueprint like your resume that they are going to refer while asking questions.
Right. So your values and your whatever is there in your SOP, it reflects how are you going to be presented in front of them, right?
Even the storytelling method that you use while writing the SOP, even if that is interesting, they might pick up that and ask questions from it. So a friend of mine told me that she had a question related to the SOP in which the interviewer asked her that what is the technique that you have used to write the storytelling in the form of SOP.
Right. So was there any extempore before the interview or during the interview?
No.
Understood.
In IIM Visakhapatnam, no, but in one of my CAP interviews, yes.
Okay. So it happens in few IIMs, right?
Yes. In CAP interview, the first question that was asked to me was speak for 2 minutes on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. So that came because I completed my engineering from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University. So they just referred to my application form, said that you are going to graduate from this university, speak for 2 minutes on this topic. So that was my welcoming question.
Okay. And was there any GD for IIM Visakhapatnam or any VAT? No, it was directly the PI, right?
Yeah. So even now the process stands the same, but in future they might add. But for our batch and even for the previous batches, it was directly SOP and then PI.
Understood. So after the interview, when you went into the college, how different was your reality from the expectations?
Okay, so I literally had no expectations because we were going to go into a permanent campus which was going to inaugurate in 2022, and we are the first batch to enter that campus. So nobody had ever seen that campus, nobody had ever lived campus life there. So we literally had no expectations because we didn't know how it looked like. And no alumni, no seniors could explain us because they have also never went to the campus. So campus life expectations were blank. Second was curriculum everybody of us has always heard that IIM life is hectic. So definitely what I heard, it was even more hectic than that. Specifically, the first 2 terms at IIM are really hectic. And whatever I heard about it, it was more true than that.
Right.
And thirdly is the kind of people you meet, the network, the opportunity life at IIM. So yes, it was quite vibrant and it really did meet my expectations.
Correct. And like, how is life at IIM? Like, is it like all the assignments, quizzes, and classes all the time running here and there, just like we see our seniors doing, or is it like how is it exactly?
Okay, so talking about life at IIM, assignment, submission, project, lectures is just 1/4 of the life at IIM.
Okay.
The second part of it is, as I said, the events, the live projects, and the vibrant side of the IIM, the fun side of IIM.
Right.
Then there comes the placement side of IIM,
Right.
wherein you have to prepare for GDs, PI, summer internship, resume, and then the final placement. So all that is one part again. And yes, altogether, I don't think there is one line in which I could explain life at IIM, but definitely worth living at least once in life. I just came home, so I left campus around a week back, and I already miss IIM. So
Right.
life at IIM is hectic. It is the best part about life at IIM is accessibility, as I've always said. You have so many people around you, and so many ideas, so many opportunities, so many resources to do whatever you want to.
Right. And it does transform you into a different individual, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think the Shruti who entered IIM Visakhapatnam in 2022, she's quite overwhelmed and could have never thought of herself as the Shruti she is today. I mean, I'm not saying that Shruti in 2022 was not confident or was not whatever she is today, but there are so many changes in the perspective, in the exposure, how I see things now, how I see life, how I talk to people, how the view, the perspective, everything changes. As a
Correct.
human being, you're shaped differently.
Correct, correct. So Shruti, tell me, what is the major difference between Blackie IIMs and Vizag? Like, how is it unique?
Okay, so great question. I get this question a lot of times. Similarly, in a way that should we go for third gen IIM over Blackie if you're not getting Blackie this year, and if we are getting only second or third gen IIM, should we take a bet? Should we go in? I get these kind of questions. So the first things first. When you talk about Blackie or when you talk about established B schools who have a history in the market, you can't really compare those with the new gen or third gen IIMs because the expectations should be different.
Right.
I say this specifically coming from a place where the IIMs or the B schools who have existed in India for more than 20 or 30 years, they have created a history, they've created a legacy. Whereas the colleges who have started over 8 or 10 years, the new colleges or the new gen, third gen IIMs, those colleges are still building. I'm not saying that they are not good or you shouldn't take a bet on them. All I'm saying is it's not fair to compare these colleges.
Correct,
Because Blackies, they have formed a structure. The alumni network is very strong. The events happening there, they're happening since I don't even know how many years. So the expectations from them, the kind of things that we see happening in those colleges, it can't be matched overnight with the college that have started in like 8 or 10 years before. So I think it's unfair to compare those, but if you compare IIM Visakhapatnam with the colleges that have started in around the same time, I definitely can say it's one of the best colleges. It is one of the best in the third gen IIM, and one should actually take a bet to go in if you have similar kind of colleges. Why I would say that is because the campus infrastructure is really good. The cohort that I was in, I found it very good. And yeah, coming back to your question again, Blackie definitely is the best in the country or even globally. But yeah, one can't just compare it with third gen, but we are definitely growing at a very fast pace. Over the year, this is going to be a big brand for sure.
Right. And let's talk about placements more in specific. Like, what kind of roles or what kind of companies can anyone, expect coming in IIM Vizag, and like, how do you see this growing over the years?
Okay. So the companies I could not name, but one can actually go through the companies through the official website again. So usme you can download the placement report. The recent placement report would be 21-23 that is already available. And by the time if you see this video, maybe 22-24 will also be available. So you can check these two, the past 2 years. You can check the placement trends, the average and the median packages, and the kind of roles. Yes, I can talk about it. So we have roles in consulting, we have roles in prodman, we have roles in sales, marketing, then we have roles into supply chain operations. So yeah, a pretty diverse mix of roles come in, and industries also are different. So IT sector, BFSI, FMCG, a lot of sectors visit. So to see which is relevant to you and the more you're interested into it, placement report would be the perfect guideline for you. So yes, that is all.
Yeah, and talking about relevance, Shruti, like a lot of people do ask, like there will be diversity and variety of students. Like most of them, maybe most of them in certain IIMs will be freshers, and in other IIMs, most of them will be work ex, like people with work ex or experienced people. So how is like, does it really matter, going into an IIM, whether you are a fresher or an experienced person? Does it change anything, or the life at IIM is pretty much the same for the entire batch? Like, what happens exactly?
Okay, so I did not answer this question in yes, no, black and white. It's a gray. I can explain it. So the first thing is when you talk about academics, I feel in business studies, in MBA, the academics is not just theoretical. It is a
Right.
practical approach, and you see things in the business context. So
Right.
for a fresher like me who came out of a college and entered the college immediately,
Hmm.
so for me, there was no corporate exposure or business exposure. So I did not see things the same way as somebody who has worked in corporate or industries or manufacturing firm for 4 years, say. So for me, the concepts a lot of times came theoretical, but for them, they've seen it happening in real world. So yes, it was
Right.
easier for them to grasp and comprehend it
Right.
compared to me. So I'm not saying I would score less as a fresher or somebody else cannot top academically. What I'm saying is the comprehension part, how you see things is different as a fresher and as a work experience candidate is what I have realized. Now the second part, being a fresher into a batch of work experience people, initially I felt really overwhelmed because there's a thing called class participation in IIMs and B schools, as we all know.
Right.
So when you present your points, you see so many people giving in so many diverse new perspectives, and a lot of times freshers feel inferior because they can't even see from that angle, or a lot of times you can't even comprehend that initially. So that initial phase felt overwhelming for me. And specifically listening to people and their backgrounds and their profile when they say I'm from Big Four, I have 4 years of work ex and all of that, it gets overwhelming. But as a fresher, what you should believe is you've got to share the same platform. You're on this in the same class, learning the same things as these people.
Correct. Correct.
So inferiority is not something you should feel as a fresher. Rather, you should be even more confident in yourself, saying that you've got to share the same platform and you have a lot to learn from these people. And the third part is placements as a fresher. So yes, a lot of times freshers are not really considered for many roles. Specifically, if you talk about senior manager roles or roles that require you to have a basic understanding of the corporate exposure, like 2-3 years of work ex is mandatory. So of course, I'm not even eligible for those roles, and a lot of freshers are not. So yeah, that could be seen as a setback. But again, if you talk about marketing roles, sales roles, their freshers are preferred. So that is also again one thing where freshers get an edge and sometimes they do not. And the last part that I would cover as a fresher is salary. पैसा कितना मिलता है freshers को? तो ज़्यादा difference नहीं होता है. A lot of people almost get the same package for being a fresher and for being a work ex candidate also. There's a little cap difference that people get an edge if they have 2+ years of work ex or 3+ years of work ex. They do get a little hike in their package, but there's not much differences. It won't be like 50% difference or something. It would be a minor difference, and freshers can go with it.
Right. So we should always see the, bright side of the story. As you mentioned, in the classroom, there will be a lot of people where, networking with whom I can feel, if I'm a fresher, I can feel I'm gaining something. So freshers
Right.
should always look into that aspect of it rather than, feeling inferior or, feeling, having the fear of missing out on things. So yeah, that is what, freshers should take away.
Exactly. So that's how my journey went. Like, so initially, even I felt inferior. I mean, inferior is not a right word. Initially, I even felt a little overwhelmed, seeing the different perspectives. But over time, I only understood and I only believed that what I've gained as a fresher from 80% of the people, I mean, 79% of the people who had work experience in my batch is incomparable. And what I've learned from them, from the faculties, and overall the environment, it is just something very good for a fresher. Because what I learned in these 2 years, I would have not learned the same things if I was in a batch where there were like majority of freshers.
Correct. Right. Last but not the least, Shruti, let's talk about the infrastructure, the campus, and the surroundings, the location basically. I know Vizag is a beautiful city, so if you can tell more about it.
So we the students of Vizag boast about two things. One, our campus being in the mountains.
Okay.
So it looks amazing when there is sunrise and sunset. Our IIM is also known as the Sunrise IIM.
Okay.
So we get to see the prettiest sunrises and sunsets. And second, being closest to the beach.
Right.
So we have a very good connectivity to the beaches. It's like one moment I'm in the campus, 15 minutes later you could find me at the beach. So our stress busters at IIM Visakhapatnam was visiting beaches.
So you
So
are a
yes,
both
that
mountain
is,
and beach person simultaneously, right?
whoever goes into Vizag becomes a mountain and a beach person. I don't know I have ever seen this combination anywhere in India wherever I've
Right,
been to, but there's
right,
a
right.
beach road in Visakhapatnam where on the left side of the road you can see beach and on the right side you can see mountains.
Okay, that's amazing.
So
Yeah.
it's that pretty combination, yes. And talking about the facilities that we get, we have single occupancy AC rooms,
Okay.
which is, yeah, so which is good. And second, our mess facility is good. And as I said, it's a new campus, so definitely it's very well maintained. It's new, and I don't know how much more can I talk about it. I can go on and on, but in one word, it was great.
Right, awesome, awesome. Very good to know about it, Shruti. And Shruti, I must say, like hearing from you about your interview experience and your life at IIM Vizag, I must say it must have motivated a lot of freshers or maybe a lot of MBA aspirants to go into IIM Vizag after cracking their CAT exams. So thank you so much, Shruti, for joining Placement Buddies, and sharing your interview experience and your experience at IIM V. We wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity where I can talk candidly about my experience. And this feels so good. I miss my college even more now. And yeah, it always feels good to talk about your IIM experience and the
Right.
journey. I hope there's somebody who got inspired, somebody who got to learn something from whatever I said. And yes, you're doing great. I've seen a lot of videos. I'm very sure a lot of people are getting benefited from these videos.
Thank you so much.
And lastly, this conversation was very candid. I did not prepare anything for it. But if anybody has any more questions and wants me to give more structured answer or any other question, I'll be available in the comment section for a little time. So yeah,
Sure,
thank
sure,
you.
sure. And to one sincere request to my viewers, like Shruti is also a YouTube content creator, so you guys must go to her channel and look into her videos. They are amazing, and she's a very good content creator, I must say. So do check out her channel. Link will be in the description. And if you have any questions which you want Shruti to answer, please do mention in the comment section.
Yes. You guys can connect me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. All the three places I'm available with the username Shruti Sonawane. And if you want to know more about life at IIM, I have many vlogs uploaded on the same. So whatever I said, if you really think I was lying, go check my videos and see that I wasn't. And life at IIM is actually that interesting, and you'll also get the same vibe. So
Right.
yes, not promoting, but yeah, my videos you
I'll
should watch.
I'll mention your LinkedIn ID, your Insta ID, and your YouTube channel ka link in the description of the video, so people can reach out easily.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you so much, Shruti. Thanks for joining.